Hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, is a new method of oil and natural gas extraction which posits many new ethical, environmental, and economic concerns to R&J Oil. The actual fracking process uses old drilling processes to reach oil and natural gas reserves previously untapped. The process begins by drilling to the level of shale rock, which is as far as traditional equipment can reach. Once it reaches this level, the drill begins to drill sideways in a process known as horizontal drilling for over a mile. While this drilling is occurring, small fissures are drilled above and below the horizontal well. Once the well is complete, the trucks at the top of the diagram begin to shoot a fluid into the well. This fluid is made from water, sand, and multiple chemical agents. When this fluid reaches the fissures created during horizontal drilling, they cause the rock surrounding the well to fracture, which triggers oil and natural gas to exit the well. Fracking is an old process, but was not economically viable until the 1980s, when Mitchell Energy and Development began using fracking efficiently. This allowed previously untapped energy reserves to be utilized. Fracking was then applied to previously used wells that were regarded as devoid of energy to capitalize on old infrastructure. In the status quo, 90% of wells have been fracked to increase their earning potential. Fracking is a beneficial process for multiple reasons. First, it opens many new reserves to exploitation. Companies such as Halliburton report that they have experienced an over 20% increase in profits since they began fracking. Second, with increased supply comes increased revenue, which promotes sales and increases profits. Finally, this increase in production and profits posits companies that frack as more competitive and able to undercut the sales price of their competitors and subsequently increase sales. Fracking also has many disadvantages. The first is contamination of groundwater. Groundwater can be contaminated by the fracking fluid, oil, or natural gas. This is problematic because these substances effectively poison our water supply, which makes water reservoirs unfit for consumption for drinking or other activities such as farming. The second disadvantage to fracking is that it increases earthquakes. This is believed to be true for two reasons. First, the process of fracking shatters portions of the Earth's interior and necessitates tectonic plate movements, which generates earthquakes. The second reason fracking is believed to contribute to earthquakes is that the rise in fracking's use is positively correlated with the number and strength of earthquakes in the areas where fracking is used. The actual evidence for these claims, much like an earthquake, is shaky. The final disadvantage to fracking is that it pollutes the environment. The first argument presented about this is that fracking furthers the fossil fuel industry that's contributing to climate change, but this seems like an inevitable complaint against an oil and natural gas company like R&J. Second, the process of drilling pollutes local environments by leaking oil and natural gas into environments. This contributes to environmental degradation as it contaminates the terrestrial environments as well as things like groundwater reservoirs, as previously explained. Many other corporations have been placed in the same position as R&J in having answered the great question, to frack or not to frack. The vast majority of major oil companies erred on the side of continuing to frack. These companies include Chevron, ExxonMobil, Halliburton, and ConocoPhillips, among many others. My research did not discover any major corporations that did not frack, which probably shows that fracking is necessary to further R&J's economic interests. Fracking is good because it increases our ability to generate a healthy profit. Competitiveness in a tough market, as I explained both of these concepts earlier, I will not harp on them. However, fracking is also good for R&J's public perception. My research indicates that a supermajority of Americans support fracking and only a small minority actively oppose fracking. This shows that Americans value lower oil and gas prices over potentially poor environmental consequences. These potentially negative consequences have inconclusive data to support them. This, coupled with the obvious benefits of fracking, necessitates fracking at R&J. My recommendation for R&J Oil is that we continue to frack. This is a viable solution because we already have the technology, equipment, and expertise to perform fracking. This is an advantageous decision because it increases our economic strength by increasing profits and business competitiveness. Without fracking, we could not compete with other major oil companies and would necessarily falter as they undercut our prices. This is proven both by the increased profits those companies experience and the graph on the right of your screen, which shows the spike in fracking that began around 2009 and how fracking stimulated a rapid growth in the United States natural gas market. This means fracking is vital to the short and long-term successes of R&J Oil. Finally, if conclusive evidence were to arise as to the dangers of fracking, we could always stop when other companies are forced to as well to ensure environmental protection as well as economic prosperity at R&J Oil.